Hey everybody, it's Carter Mann, and you have just jumped inside the pull bag.
You've just jumped inside the pull bag. Join TFG1 Mike and the rest of the comic crew here at the GCRN as they make their great escape into comics. From DC, Marvel, and Image to IDW, Boom Studios, and Zenescope, we have everything right here. We cover things like Transformers, He-Man, superheroes, TMNT, and Radiant Black. Yeah, we have all that and so much more. It's all inside the pull bag here on the Geekcast Radio Network. So, without further ado, it's time to talk about the comics we're reading right now, here inside the pull bag.
It looks like clear sailing from here.
Hello and welcome to The Pull Bag, only on the Geekcaster Radio Network. This is episode 469. No, folks, not in a row. I am, of course, TFG and Mike. Joining me is the radio god himself. It is Carter Mann. Hello, sir.
Carter Mann!
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, thanks for giving me the 69 number.
I'll take gave you the option.
I know you did. And I let you pick.
Oh, man. So this has been years in the making, folks. Literally years in the making. Carter Mann, former radio god in Louisville, Kentucky.
Ernest, I'm pretty sure there's a no-return policy once that is used.
Well, hell, that ain't too fair. Didn't even do what it was promised to do.
I first started listening to you, I want to say 2015, 2016, somewhere around there.
I didn't read the directions. I think I faced it the wrong way.
That sounds probably maybe even late. It might have been even earlier than that.
I don't remember.
16 is when I left.
That's true. I'm getting old, folks. I don't remember. And we're here to talk about Carter Mann and his comic reading origins and comic creating origins, because Carter Mann has left radio in the dust and has become, or continued, because you've been a comic creator your whole life. You're just now getting on the path, right?
That's right. I'm just now trying to gain some amount of notoriety for it.
So, before we get into all the creation stuff, did you grow up reading comics, and at what age do you first remember reading comics?
That's a good question for me, because the truth is, for a very long time in my life, I was more of an artist than a writer. And while I did collect comic books like avidly, I almost never read them. I only looked at the art. I only tried to emulate the art. I'd just stare at the cross-hatching and try to recreate it. But I couldn't tell you what any of the stories were about.
Yeah, I don't think any of us.
Now, that's not entirely true. I have become a reader of comics, and in the past several years, I've put a whole lot behind me in pages reading. There's a lot of really neat stuff happening in comics right now. The not indie industry, the Marvel and the DC, and there's a lot of drama. There's a lot of exciting stuff going on in comics right now.
Yeah, there is a ton of exciting stuff, and there's a lot of just, what the hell do we do now kind of stuff, too, because some of these companies, man, it's just crazy. As a kid, was there a parent, a friend, or somebody in your life that just said, "Here, kid, read this Batman comic, go away, you bother me"?
Yeah, in a way there was. My cousin Jamie, actually, when I was probably in the vicinity of 8 years old, introduced me to comics by leaving a huge stack at our house when he left. And it was X-Men, it was Power Pack, if you remember Power Pack. Mm-hmm. I used to like that way more than I care to admit. But I had Avengers, Iron Man, all of that. My first subscription was to Iron Man. I was probably 13, 14 years old. Didn't read those either. Just looked at the art.
I mean, the art is gorgeous.
Yeah, the art is gorgeous. I love all the different artists out there and the different impressions or in the different, takes on famous characters.
Mm-hmm. So when you were a kid, besides Iron Man, because that's a whole other part of your story that we'll get into.
Ah, yes.
Which characters were your favorites?
X-Men.
Yep.
X-Men all the way.
Cool, cool.
I was a big Jim Lee fan, and when he did the 4-issue #1 covers of X-Men when they rebooted it in the 90s.
Yep.
I was all over that. Man, I was all over that and those characters. Then the cartoon came out, which really just complemented the Jim Lee era, really. I loved the cartoon, short of the character morph. He can go. Morph is lame. His voice is lame. His costume's lame. He ruined the cartoon in a lot of ways for me, but they got rid of him for most of it. So that was cool.
Poor Morph. He gets no love.
No, poor Morph, nothing. He's a made-up nonsense character. Crap. And I'll say it to anyone's face.
Interesting to note, folks, October 31st, 2022 marks 30 years since that show came out.
Wow.
Yep.
Why are you spilling my age like that?
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. 60 years. Right. You're much older.
Feels like that.
Uh-huh. All right. The age-old question, gun to your head, DC or Marvel?
Marvel.
That was easy.
No questions. I couldn't relate to the DC characters. They're all gods.
Not all of them.
They're all gods. There's nothing relatable about them. I liked Marvel and they're real people and they're real problems. It's just not even a competition for me.
Yeah, I guess not everyone can grow up as a billionaire who loses his parents and has to become a bat to, technically.
That's not to say I don't like DC. I enjoy DC.
Well, right. Yeah, no, I know. But point was, he's not a god. Some people treat him like he's a god, but...
This is Kevin Conroy, and I am the goddamn Batman.
Yeah, he is actually a god. In terms of those comic books and how he's written, he's a detective god. And it's ridiculous in a lot of ways. But I do enjoy the Batman movies.
What other publishers do you enjoy reading?
Image Comics had a big, obviously Jim Lee. I've mentioned him 20 times already. Mm-hmm. All of them. Todd McFarlane, Mark Silvestri. I mean, I could list the entire founding fathers of Image Comics. I've enjoyed a lot of their work. A little bit of Dark Horse. Not a tremendous amount of indie comics yet, because when I got interested in indie comics was while I was doing this. And this process leaves no time for reading any comics.
Right.
Not even mine.
No. Yeah. When you are creating comics, it's very hard to keep up with reading comics.
But you know what I do? I kind of cheat, Mike. I watch YouTube videos. By like the Comic Storian, and there's a few others out there that'll kind of give you the cliff notes of comic books and their stories, or even read them to you outright. A lot of times I'll use that as a background podcast noise.
Oh, very cool, very cool. Well, I guess question 6 is irrelevant, but I guess maybe we can go before you started your creative process. Print or digital? Which one, both, either or, and why, as to how you like to read your comics?
Well, I mean, just like anybody, I like to hold a comic. I like print comics. Digital comics are absolutely the same for me. I don't have any kind of attachment to print only. And to be honest, some things happened just this past year where there was a paper shortage in the comic industry. And I found it surprising that a lot of professionals were really highlighting that going digital is not the answer. And I think that's because there's a weird stigma of doing digital or web comics in that you're not a real professional, and they like to keep that gate kept, that line between print and digital. But I like them both, and frankly, it seems like print comics don't accumulate in value the way that they used to because they make so many. I learned that the hard way back in the 90s when I tried to sell my comic collection. I'm not even going to tell you what I took for that huge box of comics. But it was a deciding factor at the time as to whether I would go into comics, because Marvel was declaring bankruptcy. The Image guys had jumped ship and left them hanging. Everybody, all of comics was doing very badly at that time.
Yeah.
But today, in today's world, obviously Hollywood is dominated with comic book material. And it seems that digital is really just inevitable. It's just inevitably going to start taking over, because print for me right now is near impossible because of price. If I were to try to print my Amazon books using their printing, it wouldn't even be a wash. I would owe them. I would owe them for the printing. I wouldn't make any money whatsoever. So I'm considering a Kickstarter to get some print books done. I'm not going to speak much on that because I've really just started scratching the surface. But
Right, you're just now researching it, yeah.
I like them both.
Yeah, I mean, for me nowadays, if I was going to have a comic book collection, obviously I would want like the best example I can give you is what IDW Publishing calls their IDW collections, where it's, hardcovers, it's in story order for Transformers, Turtles, whatever, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, whatever,
Right.
Like, if I was going to be collecting the comic books, I would want those collector edition type things that
Sure.
I could, like you were saying earlier, you flip through, you look at the art, ooh, that's pretty, ooh, that's nice. You're not there to read the story in that collected edition, limited edition thing, whereas on digital, I can read 1,000 series,
Right.
whenever I want. And I don't have to worry about, creasing the page or like you were mentioning, comic value is going down. Oh my God, you opened this Batman #1 from 1939.
Right.
You just opened the cover. It loses every bit of its value.
That's funny. That reminds me of a story about those Iron Man comic books. Iron Man was the only one I actually had a mail subscription to. Mm-hmm. And they would end up in the mailbox bent in half. I'm like, Marvel mailed this to me. It's bent in half. So there was no chance when I got that particular collection.
That makes absolutely no sense. You've kind of already said it before in the show so far, but Jim Lee and other creators, who are some of your favorite comics writers and why?
Comics writers. That's a tough one. I like Brian Hickman's X-Men. That's kind of more current. I don't know if I can answer this question real easily, Mike. As I tried to explain to you before, I'm really more of the art guy. I can name writers, but I'd be lying that I'd read their work.
Who are some of your favorite comics artists?
Well, of course, King Kirby.
Like you said.
As silly as his artwork can look, if you really, really lock down on it and study it, it's pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. I've already mentioned Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, even Rob Liefeld. His artwork is really hit or miss with a lot of people, I think. But there is the do you remember the Captain America cover where the chest is just absurd? Mm-hmm. It's like a huge chest. He's standing to the side.
Yep.
I saw some people recently kind of dishing on that. And I was thinking, you know what? Everybody can recognize that. Everybody knows who did it. That's what you want.
Yeah.
So even if it's not what you consider to be traditionally, anatomically, or just perfect at all, it's people know exactly who drew it and they recognize it, and that's what matters. Oh, other comic artists, Mark Silvestri, Alex Ross, Mobius. Absolutely love Mobius. I catered a little bit to him.
I hear that's been delayed. Oh wait, you said Mobius, not Morbius.
Yeah, not Morbius. Morbius isn't drawing him as far as I know. Mobius is. Those are some of my faves.
Cool. From the time that you were reading comics, like where was the point in your comic reading that you said, hey, I want to do this? From the time of you flipping through those old Iron Man issues to the point,
right.
Was there a specific moment where it was like light bulb on, Carter Mann going to work? Yeah.
Yeah, there is. When I was in high school and just leaving high school and entering the workforce and trying to figure out what to do with myself, I already told you I was scared of the industry. And so I didn't go for it. It didn't seem like a valid choice. However, I never stopped drawing comics. I never stopped creating worlds. I never stopped developing characters. And probably around the age of 27, I want to say, 29, I sent off my first submission to Image Comics because those were my guys and that's who I wanted to be with. And it was rejected. That doesn't hurt my feelings, by the way. When looking back at the project, I've got it right here in front of me. It's ridiculous. You could tell that I was only about the art and the writing had not come into play yet. or even into the atmosphere of my thinking. But I did get a film degree around the age of 26, and screenwriting became very exciting for me, and story became apparent to me, and I've spent ever since then reading whatever I can and just loving story and trying to create the best ones I can come up with. But this past year, March 12th, 2020, I was furloughed from my job as an optician, thank God. And I started making the comics on traditional paper. The first issue was actually done on traditional, art on cardstock.
Right.
That was tricky. That was tough. There's a lot of focus there not to mess up those big sheets of paper. So I made the switch to digital, where I could move faster, I could create better, and I could fix mistakes a lot easier as I went.
Yeah.
So, I mean, really going for it, I wouldn't want to count my 29-year-old submission to Image Comics. I'll say probably at the age of 45 is when I started really going for it. And I've been going for it ever since.
Absolutely. And you've created this series, which we've covered on the show with my buddy Mikey from Ireland. Immortal Orphans.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
That's the one.
Yep, that's the one. 4 issues so far. And dang. This is definitely a Carter Man series, folks.
Are you enjoying it?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Nothing sexist about this book at all.
Well, what in the world would they even say? You're bringing up something that happened last night. I ran across a review on the comic where someone called me sexist, and I'm like, in what way? I couldn't figure it out. And you know what? I think I've come up with what it is. I think it's my perfectly round orb boobs that I draw. I think it is. But what these people don't understand is that I'm a very meta kind of creator, and those orbular boobs are done absolutely on purpose. What, you think I can't draw regular boobs? Of course I can. I'm drawing these big giant orb ones sort of as a tease to traditional artists of the past and how they've viewed the female form and ignored the male. So with not only am I making orbular boobs, I'm making gigantic bulging crotches on the men. This is just part of my silly style, but it's certainly not sexist. Mm-hmm. All the men are wearing like tight pants, real tight, skin tight stuff with big giant bulging dongs. And it's just for fun. It's just to help create my style and, kind of tease back at some past creators.
Yeah, I mean, I can see if someone takes that away from viewing your art. But in the writing itself, you are, I don't want to say, you have been in the past when I've known you, and probably all your life, the antithesis of PC, of politically correct at all. At the same time,
that's not true.
Well, okay.
To some degree, that was true during my radio career. But, Mike, I was doing a character back then. You remember how I used to hang up on you and stuff? That wasn't real.
Oh, yeah. Sure felt real. Man.
Well, I know it was supposed to. That the audience needed to feel it.
Right. Yeah. But it's one of those things where as I'm reading this, I'm hearing your voice in my head through these characters. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yep.
Well, there's definitely some snarkiness and some sarcasm.
I'm just waiting. Yeah. And that's how you are. That's how you have been.
Right. Playful banter.
Yeah, that's how I've known you. So that's what I'm going to hear in my head. But you don't see any of your characters, whether it's, Science Boy or Murder Cat, which at this point, you should probably murder the cat.
Hey. Everybody loves that character.
I know. But the thing is, any of these characters, none of them say any specific sexist remarks to each other or in general. Like,
that's not my style.
It isn't No, it's not your style, and it's not about, any of that.
No, I think it's the orbular boobs. And I will say this as sort of like, I'll give you an exclusive sneak piece of info here. She is that character, Liberty Durand, is the one that I draw with the perfectly orbular boobs. She's a cyborg. Maybe they're not boobs.
Oh. Oh, boy.
Maybe they're explosive devices that she can detach and throw. I don't think an explosive device would be shaped like a human breast.
No.
So you just got to know the series a little bit more and not make judgment calls based on the art, because the art is very meta and really tongue-in-cheek. And in a lot of ways, it's almost like a super passive insult to artists of the past.
Yeah. And I can't imagine the mighty Quinn running around with a giant explosive bomb in his hand. Where am I going to put this bomb? I can't put it in the water. I can't put it over here. Let me run 1,000 miles.
What are you suggesting, that he's grabbing her boobs off her chest?
No, I'm suggesting that he can't be. He's better than
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
Adam West Batman, because at least the mighty Quinn would know what to do with a bomb.
It's not the Mighty Quinn. That's a different character that actually exists. It's Quinn the Lucky.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Quinn the Lucky. He has extraordinary, luck. That's really a little more than luck, in the way that the universe will do whatever is necessary to help him, achieve a fortunate result. Whether it's going to die, whether it's going to lose money, whatever it is, he's going to win. And he's very sick of that and ready to go.
Yes. In your process of creating this, what do you do first? Do you do the art first and then write in the dialogue later? How do you prepare for the stories that you're going? How are you preparing for this?
Mm-hmm. I gotcha.
I believe you said online it's going to be a 12-issue arc or something like that.
It may be more than that. It may be up to 15. I might do each act in a 5-issue, a 3-act structure, with each act being 5 issues for this origin story. But how do I start? I write it out. I write the stories first. I go through that a bunch. I've got a lot done written ahead. So right now, all I have to do is draw and, put the story in motion with sequential art. And, that's really it. I pencil it, then I ink it, then I flat it, then I color it, and then I letter it, and then I publish it.
And you wait 6 months for Amazon to make a decision.
Or for one person to buy it. Either one.
Oh, man. It's gotta be extremely hard doing this on your own. Like,
it is. If I were to publish the first 5 books as an Act 1 as a trade paperback all in one, and that had some success, I'd be very interested in looking to starting a Kickstarter with another artist, someone who can help out, because it's just all day, every day.
Yeah. You're living, breathing, drinking, eating comics your whole, like,
that's it. I've got bad neck and back problems as a result of hunching over my tablet day in and day out.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling the time and effort.
Yeah, that's never it is a good thing, because it's hard work and you're putting into something that, whatever, but the fact of the result of that hard work is backache and neck ache, that's not good.
That's not the result. The result is a sweet graphic novel series. And I'm happy to sacrifice my body to it.
Here's hoping your body can keep up with it.
But I don't want anyone to buy this book or even look at it because I worked hard or because they know me from a previous profession. I want them to read the book and they'll be hooked.
Yeah, well, just because we know each other, we've known each other, whatever, over the years. Like, when you mentioned this to me and when you first started promoting it, I was like, oh, interesting. And I went in knowing,
what is this guy doing?
Yeah. I was like, oh, interesting. And I went in kind of knowing nothing. And like I mentioned before, once I started reading the series and the various characters and whatever, that's when I started, oh, yeah, this is so Carter. This is so his style, I'm just waiting for several different sports ball references at some point or another.
They'll come.
I'm sure.
They'll come. I already had some, actually. There was a sports ball reference in the very first issue.
Yeah. in the very first issue, yeah. That's why I was like, Oh yeah, this is, and then as people have heard in our past episodes with me and Mikey talking about the series and wondering about various things and doing various things and with it and talking about it, it's just a fun, interesting new thing that is not, I don't want to say superhero light or superhero like. It is your own style, your own story. It is very sci-fi.
Yeah.
But it's your sci-fi. You're not trying.
I'm not emulating anyone.
Yeah. You're not emulating anyone. You're not.
It's all new, all new stuff. Like you've never heard of a hernia man as a major character in a comic book. And what I want to do is make you not only see it, hear it, and accept it. I want to make you love the character.
Yeah.
Which is even harder because it's such a silly one to begin with. But that's the idea. Each one of these characters is me. Each one of them is a part of me at a different stage in my life as a human on Earth. And I can, tag them with my traits and features. But you've not seen a lot of what I've got going on here. Mm-hmm. But to be clear, it is a speculative science fiction story about a future where, Gagnon has no, in the future he comes from, he has no future. He has no hope. He has no reason to think anything other than that maybe he'll see the end of the world. So the idea is it's a metaphor in a way of sort of like millennials. Millennials won't go to work, right? That's the big funny joke all over social media. Oh, they call in. They're never there. And I believe that is because they don't believe they have a fruitful future in America. They've been screwed again and again, wages going down, tuition going up. And that's the idea, is that Gagnon here lives in a future where there's no future whatsoever. So he's a piece of shit. He's stealing from people. He's, breaking the law. He's always getting in trouble with the cops. He doesn't care. But when he finds his way back in time to an Earth that is still ripe with possibility and future, he takes up that hero torch without hesitation. That's some of the back end of symbolism and metaphor in the book.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just a fun old time, and I've had fun doing it, doing the reviews and even just reading it on my own. Just what's gonna...
Oh yeah, it's important to me that it be high octane action all the way.
Well, I mean,
that too.
Yes, but you can't... What I've found as a reader of comics is that there needs to be a consistent balance, and I would say that you do that. You don't put too much dialogue in one issue, but only like a half scene of action.
Sure.
Or too much action in another issue and only like 3 lines. You don't do that. You know your style, you know how you are, and you know what the story is that you want to tell. So for your comic, and from what I'm seeing from Immortal Orphans, is that it is a fully balanced book between dialogue and action.
I appreciate that.
Let's see here. What else do we have to ask you? So in your comic adventures over the years, what was the most money you spent on a comic book or a comic item? Comic item could be like Green Lantern's ring or wait, here's the story.
Yeah. I've got both of the Infinity Gauntlets.
Oh, do you?
I have both Infinity Gauntlets. The Hulk one and the what's his name now? Purple Grimace.
Thanos. Yeah.
I've got Thanos and the Hulk one. Yeah, and those were probably about, God, were they $100 a piece? That's like $200 for that. That's crazy.
Ladies and gentlemen, for a while in his former career, he actually got to become Carter the Iron Man.
Dun, 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 dun. Yep. I sure did. A very brief window.
Yes.
By the way, by the time I achieved the goal, I set a GoFundMe account so that I could get a movie quality Iron Man suit to go visit, sick kids at the hospital. Mm-hmm. I really always wanted to do that. And, the GoFundMe was a success in less than a month. And then I got the suit and we put it on. I went out to one place and they fired me. That's how that went. I ended up having to sell the suit. To stay afloat.
That sucks.
It does suck. I also had to sell the bed I had just gotten through the radio station.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, yeah, they screwed me. They screwed me so hard. But not really. They gave me a big fat settlement that I don't really talk about a lot.
Uh-huh.
That helped me out in some areas. Mm-hmm. But I was essentially really bummed out and hurt by the loss of that job because as much as I prefer comic books, I loved radio. I think that was evident in my delivery.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't want to go back.
Oh, no. I mean, and going back now would be weird, especially now. It's just so, I don't know. It is what it is. It's one of those things where you could clearly tell that you love doing that job. You would not have taken all of those calls.
Right.
And maybe spent 5 or 10 minutes extra if you could with that person that was like, you know how you were there. You take a call from somebody, you have the on-air bit, and then there may be, if possible, an extra 5 minutes off-air that you're talking to that person because you want to connect with your audience kind of thing. And
that's right. And that hasn't changed. I want to connect with the comic audience, and if the radio audience wants to follow me into this adventure, and a lot of them have, then that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with Immortal Orphans, you are obviously telling your own unique story, but you're also still bringing us your own unique brand of style and humor and just your personality. It's just in a different...
It is my voice. It's very much my voice.
Yeah, and it's just in a different format. You just have to read it and just hear his voice in your head, folks.
They're not going to hear my voice. They don't know me like you do. They don't need to. Just read it. I swear. Give me a break on the very first issue. I was just getting my feet wet.
Right.
The art's a little clunky. It was on standard paper. But if you get through the first, second issues, I feel like anyone's going to be hooked into wanting to know a little bit more.
By issue, I would say halfway through issue 2, and then obviously starting with all of issue 3, you have really, it jumps leaps and bounds on the storytelling and the art and just all of it.
The art, yeah.
It just really, really has.
It's going to keep doing that, too, until I reach my peak, so that's, I don't even know where that's going to be. I think you're really going to like issue 5.
Absolutely. When's that coming out?
Well, I've had to put the brakes on it for about a week. I haven't gotten anything done in a week on the actual comic itself, but it's only a few pages away from being completely done. So it's not going to be that long once I just, put the nose to the grindstone again.
Very cool. Very cool. Do you prefer heroes, heroines, anti-heroes, or heroines, or villains? What archetypes are your go-to reads and also to write for?
I like anti-heroes. They're always fun. I'm not a big fan of the Paragon, the Supermans. Although I will say that my Hernia Man character is a Paragon. That's how I developed this character, and more of that'll become evident as he develops. Some fun stuff's coming. I enjoy a villain turned good with a retribution arc. I love that. I also love a fallen hero. Those are fun. Villains are always good as long as you've got one. I think you can't have him be a two-dimensional character, evil anymore. Oh, he's evil. No, they've got to have so much more meat and story, almost to where you can almost see their point. And you start wondering who's right and who's wrong here. I think they did a good job of that with Thanos in Endgame and Infinity Wars. Those types of stories are always good to me. I like a good anti-hero who has to go into a hero's journey reluctantly, maybe kicking and screaming. And then once they're there, their true colors are able to come out, and you see them for something more than even they saw themselves as.
Like our main hero, Gannion here, because, yeah, he's pretty much...
That's Gannion, yes.
He got, kicked by a robot. Do you have a my parents got rid of my comics story?
No, I don't. I got rid of my own comics like an idiot. I told you I sold this huge box I had.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. I'll go ahead and tell you because it's fun. What the hell? 20 years ago. What the fuck am I trying to hide? I took my huge box. Everything was mint and the polyurethane, acid back, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, this is going to give me some great money starting out in the world. Mm-hmm. And I took it in there. The guy gave me $15.
Oh, my God.
I had 6 complete collections of Jim Lee's #1 issue. I had 6 times 4.
Oh.
I had 24 books that were just that particular one. And I know that particular one would have brought me some money. But back then, they made a jillion copies of it. Mm-mm. And there was never going to be, thought then anyways, any value to it. Mm-mm. So no, my parents never threw any away. I don't think they were ever in the business of throwing away my stuff.
So besides anything in your own comics, besides anything in Immortal Orphans, what is one item from a comic book that you'd love to have scaled up for real world use?
Oh. Boy, I tell you, I love the idea of the adamantium skeleton. I do love that. The Infinity Gauntlet's just kind of silly when you think of it. There's no real world practical anything for that. But I do like the design. Real world use. What else would I want from comic books? I would like to have an optic blast. I would love that. And I would love the creator of Morph to be standing right in front of me when I unleash my optic blast. And all of those who allowed the creation to continue.
Oh, my God.
I would also shoot them.
He really hates Morph, folks.
Promises to keep. Promises to keep, my friend.
I hate it. I hate him. Real hate.
Okay, so you are already creating your own universe, your own thing with Immortal Orphans. However, if any comic book company, no matter who it was, whether it was DC or Marvel, whether it was Image, whether it was whatever, if they could hand you the keys to their kingdom and they tell you you can do whatever you want with whatever character as long as Uncle Ben still dies and no killing, what would you do with it and what would you want to create with it?
Did you say no killing?
Yeah, no killing.
Why?
Because, Batman has a goal. Yeah, but Batman
this is
doesn't.
Not Batman. Okay. I'll tell you what I would do. I would go to any one of those publishers with my work and these characters and make them work there. I would love to have any one of them backing it. By God, I'd be able to get some fucking printed copies finally.
Yeah.
Some actual paper hard copies. That's about the only way I can see right now outside of the Kickstarter possibility. But if I had to pick first, I think I would still choose Image first to go to, just because of my connection with my youth and those again founding fathers of that company.
Yeah, I mean it's.
Although you know what, I hate to say this too, but I've been watching them a lot, real closely. A lot of them are like real Boy Scout nerds, real choir Boy Scouts in real life. That's who they are, and I'm like, ugh, come on. That's why they're not buying my work. That's why they're not letting me in.
Yeah.
But they're all great. I hope I've professed my love for all of them before I said they were all nerdy Boy Scouts.
Good Lord. Okay. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm doing some research as we're talking about this with Morph, and his real name is Kevin.
Stop it. Stop acknowledging that character.
No, you said you wanted to know who it was created by.
That thing all the way down to his stupid haircut. I mean, I hate everything about him. They put him in that generic X-Men suit, and I've never been more furious in my life that some nothing got to wear the blue and gold costume. It still bugs me, and I haven't watched the show in 20-some years. It's like, what is that? And what was the one they did on X-Men? Was it X-Men? Which one had the Spike character or whatever?
Oh,
that pissed me off too. I was like, who's that? That's nobody. Don't make up a character for a cartoon. If you're making a cartoon about a known comic entity like the X-Men, what the hell do you need an extra character for? They've already got 1 million.
True.
They could have used Marrow. Marrow had that same power, basically. I'm getting off topic.
Oh, okay, so
I don't like made-up cartoon characters for a comic series that exists already.
So let me ask you this then. How do you feel about made-up cartoon characters that debut in the cartoons, but then get transferred over into the comics because he got pulled into the comics?
Oh.
I have never actively looked in, the most emotional I felt ever about Morph was as a 12-year-old seeing him and Beast, and I was more emotional about Beast than I was Morph.
Yeah.
You know, seeing him potentially die.
Oh, right.
Didn't I tell you? Clear sailing all the way.
Hey, Tin Woodsman. I'm sending you back to Oz in pieces.
Wolverine, pull back!
That was the best day of my life. I thought my prayers had been answered. But, you know, I think that's how Harley Quinn came about, right? She was a cartoon character first, and then she made her way in.
Yep.
It can happen. It can work, but you have to have a good character, not some generic, stupid voiced dork with no original costume and the most generic power imaginable that 100 other X-Men already have.
Yeah, he essentially is the male version of Mystique.
Yeah,
Except
he's the male version of piece of crap. He's the male version. Don't even compare him to Mystique. I don't even want him in the same sentence with any real existing characters. If they brought him into the comic books, I'd probably hang myself tomorrow.
They have. That's what I'm telling you.
Are you kidding?
Oh, yeah.
I got to go buy some rope.
Not before your 12 issue epic finishes off. No, that's, again,
I don't know.
That's why I was saying, you know, that I was looking him up.
Yeah.
Original fictional name is Kevin Sidney, appearing in American comic books published by Marvel Comics. Roy Thomas and artist Werner Roth created him. Character first appeared in the X-Men number 35, August 1967. Holy crap.
Oh, so he was around first.
Yeah, he was around first, but...
Oh, that changes my ideas.
Okay, so no. So here's the thing. He has two different identities. He has the Changeling, which was August of 67, and then as Morph in the cartoon, and then after that, the first comic appearance was X-Men Adventures number 1 from November of 92. I'm just curious to see what...
Wow.
Comic spinoff of the animated series beginning in November 92. It adapted the first 3 seasons of... Oh, so it was essentially just a comic version of the cartoon.
Yeah.
I would rather just watch the cartoon.
That's a shame to see that character put on print. That hurts. And to know that the idea of him is so old and that they didn't even take the original idea. They just made a new thing. You see what I'm saying? Don't do that. Don't do that.
All right. Where can the people find your comic series, Immortal Orphans, sir?
All right. You can hit me up on Patreon, patreon.com. Just search for Immortal Orphans or Carter Mann with 2 N's. It'll take you right to it. Amazon and Kindle. You can find it there as well. I think I reduced the prices last night, so that's a treat for anyone hearing this now. I lowered the prices when I read that crappy review.
So wait. You saw a crappy review of your awesome comic and you decided to take money away from yourself?
Not for that reason. I just watched
No.
No. I'd been watching YouTube on how to really sort of... I'm watching all sorts of videos on how to sort of sneak the system and the prices that work the best and all of that. I was just making a joke. I didn't do it because of that. If anything, if I'd done it because of that, I would have raised it $10.
$10 an issue. Yeah.
And you know that's true.
Oh, yeah.
And you know it's true. I would have done it out of spite, but I'm not like that.
What is the one piece of advice you would give the comics fandom in general?
Well, I mean, stop supporting Morph. When they come back, if that show comes back, and it's going to on Disney Plus,
yes,
and Morph it makes even a blink of an appearance, don't watch the show. Boycott the show. If Morph's stupid face shows up again in my lifetime, it's boycotted. That's my advice. Don't allow crappy creators to make crappy creations and then like support them for it. That's terrible. Come on. You hear the seriousness in my voice.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. I'm joking and I'm not joking.
Poor Morph. He gets no love.
Not from me.
All right, folks. That's going to do it for us here inside the Pull Bag. Thank you for listening. Go over to the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can listen to this and all of our other episodes. Send us email, feedback@geekcastradio.com. You can listen to us on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you find your pod things that get casted. We are on Twitter at GeekCastRadio, at The Pullbag. I am at TFG1 Mike. What is your Twitter, sir?
I believe it is at Carter the Man with 2 N's. At Carter the Man, 2 N's.
Mm-hmm. I think that's right. You can also check out Carter Mann's Immortal Orphans over on Facebook. Join us next time for something. Ladies and gentlemen, seriously, it's January 2022. I've had a lot of stuff happen in the last 2.5, 3 months. Normally, I would have the entire year semi-planned out with things that we were going to do this year, comics we're going to cover inside the show, and I just have not had a chance to do anything.
That is understandable, and I appreciate you taking time out for me, sir.
Well, absolutely. I mean, got to talk to the radio god. I mean, come on. For now, I am TFG1 Mike, and you are, sir?
Carter Mann.
Make your great escape into comics, and we will catch you next time here inside the Pull Bag.
I don't know how to brush my hair, none.
Didn't I tell you? Clear sailing all the way.
Don't you forget about me!
We're criminal sinners! Hell!
You've just heard the latest episode of The Pullbag, the GCRN's first comic review and discussion podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate and leave a review for the show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Become a fan of us on Facebook, facebook.com/thepullbag. Send us an email, feedback@geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter @thepullbag and @geekcastradio. So until next time, make your great escape into comics and unleash the geek in you.